Hey, welcome to Mike's Trainings, and thanks for joining me for another video. This is part 3 in a series of doing my train station interior and lighting. And in the last one we talked about lighting the lower level underneath this. It was very simple. It was strip lighting and all. This one we're going to light the upper floor here, this building. And I'm doing this a lot differently than I did that, and there's a little more involved, so we're going to take this video to talk about how I'm going to do that. Let me start by hooking up. You can see the Union Station sign above. Now that's something I bought. I bought it from Miller Engineering. I've had it for a few years. It's pretty nice. I like it. You can change the lights on it, and this is how it works. Okay, and that's what it does. Now I have that wired. You can see here I have a set of wires here, and of course that goes to my power supply, and that's what it does. And there are buttons inside that change how this flashes. You can have it do a multitude of different things. It's very nice. This is how I'm setting it up, and this is how it's going to be. So aside from that, I'm going to take this out because this building is going to be flipped around and twisted around, and just we have to work with it. Now we also need to do lighting inside this building, okay? And we want to light up all the windows, but we don't want to give away that it's a big empty building. Now I don't know if you can see, but in these windows there's a little thing right here in front of each window. Those are chandeliers that I made. Let me show you what they look like. Okay, so those are hooked up. Now let me turn on the power, and that's what you get. They don't look all that bright, but they are. That's running on 12 volts. Those are regular LEDs. Let me shut down some of these lights and see. There you go. So now you can kind of see a little bit more what they look like. Those are handmade chandeliers that I did. I'm going to show you how I made those. Let's go into what is going to happen with all of these. So there are 5 across here, and I also am going to do 5 down the back side. I want to run them in front of these windows and the back side, and the same here, 3 and then 3 in the back, and then 1 on the end over here. We're going to run one right here, and then 3 in each of the side windows. So there's 6, 7. I'm not going to do this end window because this faces the wall. It's a waste of an LED. So we've got 6 of them here, 6 more front and back, plus 1 is 7. So it's 13 lights here left to put in, plus 5 more across the back. So that's a lot of lights to put in. Let's take a look at the inside as to how this was done. And this is what you have. This is the wire coming out of there. This set of wires here we're going to ignore. These go to that light up sign that's above there. If I don't let go of my stuff. So we'll just pull this up and out of the way. We don't need to look at that. But what I did do, and you'll notice, I put a floor in here. It's a little premature. I probably shouldn't have put it in yet, because now I'm regretting, because now I have trouble getting to the interior. I had trouble getting to the windows to put those in. And that floor is for this down in here. These are the circuit boards. There's 2 of them that run that sign on top of the building. One circuit board is the actual board right here. It's an on-off switch, and then there's another set switch right beside it. I don't think you can see that in there, but yeah. Okay, let me get my pointer here. So in here you have the on-off switch right here, and then back on this side over here, that's a little push button, and that changes how the display works. And then this second board over on this side, this board here changes the current from It allows me to hook it up to my power supply on the track, onto my train power, so I can actually power the light without using batteries. This is actually intended to run on batteries. It comes with when you buy them. If you don't buy this extra adapter here, this other circuit board, you have to run it off like a 9-volt battery. So that's the extra circuit board. This is the white wire here, comes off, and that'll hook into 12-volt power. Now, as far as these LEDs go, this is what they look like on the inside. I made this board here up on top, and I made these lights. And there's our copper strip again. So why don't we go into how these were made. Alright, so to make those light fixtures themselves, let's start at the beginning. Believe it or not, they're from this. So all I did, it's just a normal big pen, it's clear, and I liked using this because it's like an octagon. It has all flats with corners on the sides, on the edges. So I take this, we don't need that. Take out the ink, we don't need that. And then this end right here, if you can get it out, that's great. If not, doesn't really matter. So from there, we're going to use regular LED bulbs. So we need 5. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on these right here, when you're looking at these, the short leg, you'll notice that one leg is longer than the other. Alright, so one leg being longer than the other, that's your polarities. So the shorter leg on here is the negative side, the long leg is the positive side. And that's all you really need to know on these. So what I'm going to do with these, just to keep me in check for the rest of the way through this little process here, is I'm going to take my Sharpie marker and I'm going to draw, and I'm going to color the short leg about halfway up. This is so I can keep things straight. This is what just for my own, this is what I do. Okay? Because eventually we're going to bend these legs over and they're going to be the same length, and I'm not going to remember which one is which. Alright, so now you can see, now it's a lot easier to tell the positive from the negative, and it doesn't matter how long the legs are. Alright, so that's why I do that. Now, back to this pen. Let me get out my cutter here. So what I have is one of these. You've probably all seen these before. It's a miter box with a flat saw. I'm just going to put this in here, and I'm going to cut off, like I said, if you can get off the little black end on here, all the better. I'm not going to wrestle with it. It's not worth my trouble. So I'm just going to take that and cut that end off. So now our end is cut off. Now I have a mark in here. I don't know if it comes out on here, but there's a small mark for how long I need to make these. Put this up to my mark, and I'm going to cut this off. So here is one shade, and then I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to clean that out. Get the extra plastic off of there. And then we have this. Okay. Now this needs to be washed. I actually have a box full of these that I made already, so this one we'll put to the side. So this one's already cut, washed, and cleaned. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take some canopy glue, my pad of paper, Okay, small spot of canopy glue. So can you see that okay? Yeah. Put this back up. And we're gonna need a small brush. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bead of glue right around the top of this. Like that. And take this bulb and just slide it right in there. And we just keep going through the rest of these and get all 5 of them glued together. Now that is 5 lanterns or chandeliers in there now, and they're mostly done. All right, we have a little bit more to do to those. But we want this canopy glue to set up first. We want that to dry up so that we can actually pick these up and work with them. So I'm gonna let this sit, and we'll come back. I'll come back in about a half an hour when these are all set up, and we'll continue on with this. Alright, so these have had a little bit of time to dry now. So now I can work with them. I want to use the legs. The reason I want to let them dry is I want to use the legs as a handle, because now we have to deal with the actual shades on here. And all I did on those other ones is I got my Sharpie pen, okay, and I'm just going to go down the corners of all the sides on this. So there we go. That's all 5 of those. Now, in order to get these mounted inside our building, we need a mounting surface. So what I've got, and it's the same thing I did on the front side, I have a 1-inch strip of styrene, and then I cut another smaller piece. This is the gluing cleat that will go against the building. Okay, so the lights will mount to this. This is our gluing surface inside the building. So now we need to mark where the lights need to line up on here. So let me get the building. So inside this building here, this cleat here, this mounting surface is going to go right up to the windows, and it lines up over the center part here. So it goes the edges right to the edge of this piece, this edge right here on both sides. So I'm going to center that up. I'm going to get my pencil, and then when you look at the windows, there's a center line right here in the window, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that on each of the windows right onto the strip here. Just going to put a small mark like that. So now we have this, and we have all the marks right down that. So now we can get rid of this again. We'll take out my trusty old square, and I'm going to put this on here like this. So we'll start down at this end right here. I'm going to line up my mark. I'm going to put a line. Now those are all the mounting points for the lights to go onto. So let's get some copper strip out, which is this stuff again. And I'm going to cut a piece of that. And that'll go like that. And then the only thing I want to do with that, beyond that, is to take, I'm going to take my knife here. I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to burnish this down onto the plastic. So that's our first strip. Now we do one more. Okay, so here's our two strips. They are done now. They're all on. There's nothing left to do. So then this is where your lights are going to hang from. Now the next thing to do is to drill a small hole for wires to go through, power wires. And I've already checked, and my wire is 5/64 deep, or in diameter. So we need a 5/64 bit, which is this one here, and a pin vise. So now those will end up being the mounting holes for the wire that's going to come through here and power the strip. And I think on this one I'm actually going to put another set of holes on the other end, and that'll go like that. So now we have a hole on each end. Now for the lights, these right here, we need to bend the ends. Now I know from doing the other ones, bending the other ones already, I know I need to bend them about like this. Like that. And then we're just going to take this other one, bring it to the same height, and bend it over. And that's it. So we have something like this. Okay, and I'm going to cut off the extra. I want these to be short. And that's all we're looking at. That's what we need on all of these. Just like that. And then what's going to happen is these will solder at the points of the lines that we drew. They'll go right here like this, and they'll solder right on there. Now at the height that I'm bending these at, it puts them pretty much in the center of the window. So let me get all these bent. So now we have all these cut. Now we need to solder them onto the copper pad. Alright. So now we're just going to heat this. So now we have all our copper pads on here. Now it's just a matter of holding the light up on there and soldering it on. Now I want to keep this the same as the other one because I don't want to have a confusion as to which side is positive and negative. I want to keep it the same. So what I have is my negative side to the back side. So I'm going to take this leg we colored earlier and I'm going to drop that right on there. And that's it. So now these are all hooked up on here. And before we go any further, we can test this. You take the plus and the minus and hook those in like this and like this. And we have working lights. So now we're good to proceed on to the next part of this. So right now we'll set this into the building and get this thing situated. So within the building, this is going to mount just like this right onto the back. So I'm going to take some CA and I'm going to run it down the back side here. So then those will be mounted in pretty much just like that. Okay. Now it matches the other side, but we have to let that CA dry. Alright, so I finished wiring this back side here. Lights are a little bent up here. Let me straighten these out. There we go. Alright, so what I've done, if you look inside of here, is, let's see if I can put this down in here. I put a strip, a couple pieces of wire onto the first set of holes here, and then I opened up the wire that comes out, and I wired the two wires, corresponding wires, into that. So these set of lights are tied to the upper set of lights in here, and that's how that's going to go. And then the lights that go into this other wing over here will tie into those 2 points there. The lights that go into this other side will tie into these points over here. I have to drill another set here, but this side will tie into here, that side will tie into here, and then you have this one set. Now the one thing I didn't go into is this right here. Let's see if I can. Okay, so this right here, this is shrink tubing over it, but there's a resistor in here. You can't run these without a resistor. These only run on 3 volts at the most before they want to start burning out, and I'm running these at 12 volts. So I had to put a resistor. It's a 1K ohm resistor, and what that looks like are these. Okay, so it's 1K ohm. So I just put that in here. I cut the ground line and I soldered it in there and reconnected the ground line, and then I put a piece of shrink tube over it. So that lets me do this, and it lets me run these at 12 volts, and this is what we end up with. Let me shut some lights down, and this is what you have. So this is the front side. That here, let me reset the camera so you can see this better. Okay, so I've kind of turned the lights down so the inside lights will show better. You can see all 5 lights in there. Alright, and they should be bright enough. And then if we flip this around, we have 5 more lights in there. And that should be bright enough. I mean, it's hard to come across on the camera as to how bright those really are, but they really do light up the inside of that. The camera's having a hard time picking it up. I don't work so well at low light. So that's it. That's my homemade chandeliers for inside the windows of the train station. Like I said, I'll continue the rest of these for these side windows as well. And you know, I'll show you the whole thing completed probably in the next video, and we'll start doing the interior walls, because I have some more ideas to go along with that as to what you're going to see when you look in. So I think, all that being said, this is going to be the end of this video. We're going to call this done. If you like what you saw, subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you following along. Hit that subscribe button on the bottom of the video there. If you haven't visited my website, it's mikestrains.wordpress.com. You can see progress on, you know, photos of my layout in pretty much in full. My father's train layout that I'm building for him. And again, thanks for watching, and happy modeling.